This is my lovely audience. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We're going to be learning about fire cider. I'm going to start with a fun story that illustrates some of my favorite parts of fire cider. It's called A Guy Does Fire Cider by Michael Phillips. Men often have the idea that if a little is good for you, then a whole lot more will get you there sooner. Such was my introduction to fire cider. Back in the day when I was swinging a hammer for a living, every working second was precious. I felt a buzzing in my throat one morning before I left for the job site. Nancy had recently infused some of our cider vinegar with horseradish, garlic, onions, and cayenne, so I filled a pint mason jar to take along to work. Subduing whatever pesky bug was taking hold was the only way to meet the goals for the week. It's not hard to guess what happened next. Quaffing down that fire cider brought me down to my knees. Death by 1,000 versions would have been easier to take. Lord, if I survive this, I will be a better man. I will heed what my herbalist and my love tells me about a proper dose. I will spread the good word. I will never misjudge the healing power of plants again. Sweat poured profusely as my body endured yet another mind-expanding exploit. An hour later, I could see beyond the tears. No feverishness or headache or aching throat. Nothing remained, in fact, except a purified soul. I lay in the cool grass of this sacred earth and thought about the long tradition of fire cider, of all the ancestors before me that had passed through the same absolution. I was invincible. I was a guy redeemed. I felt lucky to be alive.
Great story.
It's a great story. It's not how I would recommend taking fire cider. However, it seemed effective for him. We'll talk about proper dosage and use later. So, knowing that winter is coming and that we live in the northern hemisphere, show of hands if you've ever had a sore throat, sluggish digestion, a fever, sore throat. Me too. A show of hands if I told you that you could make your own tonic that could quell some of these symptoms, that could soothe them and make you get better faster if you would make it for yourself. Me too. And I have for many years. After I found Rosemary Gladstar's book in the Dallas Coastal Farm Supply Store, I started making my own fire cider and have made it every year since. So tonight I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of apple cider vinegar, its medicinal uses, fire cider, some of the potential benefits and risks of taking it. So to start, apple cider vinegar has been a medicinal tonic that's been used throughout the world. Traces of it have been found in Egyptian urns dating back to 3000 BC. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, in 400 BC in Greece, would prescribe apple cider vinegar and warm honey to help cure the common cough and a cold. Then, when the Great Plague of the 5th century was leveling populations in Europe, grave robbers who were handling sick and infected bodies were caught. The judge said, "I will pardon you if you tell me your secret for staying so well in these hard times." The secret was a formula one of their mothers had made called now it's called the Four Thieves vinegar, but it was a vinegar of 4 different herbs: rosemary, thyme, oregano, and sage. They were consuming this vinegar and it was keeping them well despite the plague. We still use thieves vinegar oil today. We still use thieves essential oil in our cleaning products in our houses. That has now been trademarked, but it's centuries old, that recipe. There are also some modern uses of apple cider vinegar. We use it for cleaning, we use it in salad dressings, I use it to rinse my hair sometimes or to clean infections. It's currently being studied by the Diabetic Association for its implications for blood sugar stabilization. Studies have shown that taking 2 tablespoons before a carbohydrate-heavy meal can lower glucose levels. And this means good things for people with prediabetes or insulin sensitivities. However, more research is going to be needed to be done before we can say for sure what that means for diabetics. But there are also other uses for apple cider vinegar, such as its mineral content: potassium, magnesium, and calcium, vitamin B and C. Also, raw and unfiltered apple cider vinegar has beneficial active bacteria in it that's good for supporting our gut biome. So, now that we know some of the historic and modern uses for apple cider, what do we have when we make it into a fun remedy that uses easy, affordable kitchen ingredients such as onions, garlic, etc.? So, as we know, it has been different recipes, different variations have been passed down throughout the centuries. A famous herbalist named Rosemary Gladstar first coined the term fire cider in her kitchen in 1980 in California at her herbalism school. She took some of the classic ingredients of apple cider vinegar, onions, and garlic, but added a few spicy things like garlic, horseradish root, and cayenne peppers. Combined with the apple cider vinegar and steeped for about 3 weeks, it turns into this super potent, pungent, spicy tonic. And it became very popular and spread all over the world. However, she standardized the recipe. So some of the reasons why people love it and take it is because it has health benefits such as its circulatory stimulant. It's going to move blood through your body because of its heating ingredients. It can help you break a fever because of that. It also has antiviral properties because of the garlic and the onions. It's also an expectorant. If you have congested sinuses or a mucousy wet cough, it can help expel some of that fluid from your sinus and lung cavities sooner. And it can stimulate your immune system in the presence of a disease or pathogen. So Rosemary Gladstar co-wrote this book with 40 other authors, and there's 101 recipes in here that show how versatile this recipe of fire cider can be. I personally love to add fresh picked rose hips and fresh lemon juice and sliced lemon for a little brightness, a little zestiness, and also the added vitamin C benefit of those ingredients. I've also seen variations with wild berries, other fruits, and different kinds of peppers like habanero or jalapeno peppers, because people adapt it to where they live. It remains a very versatile, flexible recipe, which is such a blessing because there was a young startup company that said, oh wow, fire cider is really taking on a lot of traction. What if we trademark this term, fire cider, make a product, put it out in the market, and make millions of dollars? So they did just that. Then fire cider was no longer a free term to be used. It was trademarked. Herbalists who had been using this recipe for decades could no longer use that without trademark infringement and were getting sued for $100,000. They took this company to court, and after a 5-year legal battle, the state of Massachusetts Supreme Court judge ruled in favor of the herbalist, saying, yes, fire cider ought to remain a tradition, not a trademark. So it remains for the people to be a recipe and product that can be used and shared. And although it is a win for us, we need to learn more about some of the risks and contraindications before people can safely take it. So some things to consider. First, modern science hasn't done any clinical trials studying fire cider itself, only the apple cider vinegar component of it. Therefore, more research needs to be done for there to be hard data. A registered dietitian, Beth Serzwani from the Cleveland Clinic, wrote an article that there's no real rationale for taking fire cider. There's just not enough evidence supporting the claims behind it. Some other contraindications to consider. If you have acid reflux or heartburn, it's not recommended that you take fire cider because of the high acidity content. Also, due to the high acidity content, it can erode the enamel on your teeth and make you a little bit nauseous if you take it on an empty stomach. So it is better to take it with food and diluted. Preferably, it's diluted in warm water, and add raw honey to make it a little bit sweeter, more palatable, and also to get the benefits of the raw honey as well. So, in conclusion, we have learned about the historical uses of apple cider vinegar. We have learned about fire cider, where it comes from, what it's been through, what it is, and a little bit of how to make it, how to use it, why you would want to take it, what you might want to be aware of. And I hope you've learned something to help inform you about your options this winter when thinking about remedies and medicines that you can make. I personally have loved studying. I learned a lot, and I look forward to making another batch this winter, as I love to do. So, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Emma.
You're welcome.